Welcome to the Deep Dive by 5W Media. Today we're plunging headfirst into, well, the chilling world of Kansas ghosts.
Ooh, spooky stuff.
Definitely. We've gathered a fascinating collection of spooky tales for you from right across the Sunflower State. Everything from whispers of haunted cemeteries to documented accounts from eerie buildings and, the enduring power of local legends.
That's right. Our mission really is to navigate these spectral stories and pull out the most compelling and intriguing accounts of paranormal activity Kansas has to offer.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you who want to get informed quickly, love those aha moments, and, well, want to avoid information overload, consider us your ghost hunting guides for this deep dive.
Let's do it. So where do we start? Cemeteries seem like a classic.
Absolutely. We're better to begin our spooky exploration than the silent cities of the dead. Kansas has more than its fair share of cemeteries with reputations for paranormal activity. Let's start with the infamous Stoll Cemetery in Lecompton.
Ah, Stoll. Yeah, that place has been shrouded in eerie legends for like over a century.
What's really striking about Stoll is this persistent belief that it's a gateway to hell.
Right. Some accounts even suggest Satan himself makes, a couple of appearances there each year?
That's the story. This long-standing association with dark forces has certainly fueled its reputation as a very active paranormal location.
And the stories get wilder. There's an old roofless church within the cemetery.
Oh, yeah, the church.
That's said to have never gotten rained in, apparently. And a mysterious set of stairs that, lead to nowhere.
It's like a scene ripped straight from a ghost story, isn't it?
Totally. And this intense notoriety has real-world consequences. Every Halloween, the sheer number of people trying to trespass and, witness something supernatural requires the local sheriff's presence just to maintain order.
Wow. Talk about attracting spirits, both living and otherwise. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. A location with a different kind of history. Fort Leavenworth National Cemetery.
Okay. Oldest continuously operating military post west of the Mississippi. Right.
Exactly. It's been a burial ground since 1844, holds the remains of around 20,000 U.S. soldiers. So you'd naturally assume any ghostly activity would involve these soldiers.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But, surprisingly, our sources indicate the reported spirits at Fort Leavenworth Cemetery aren't typically identified as former soldiers.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about the other stories and energies connected to such a long-standing and historically significant place.
It certainly adds a layer of mystery. Okay, moving on to Round Mound Cemetery in Cummings. Here we find a very specific and localized legend, a witch.
Yeah, a witch who supposedly prevents the wind from blowing across the cemetery grounds.
Huh. That's different.
What's fascinating here is the direct interaction with the natural world attributed to this spectral figure. The idea of a supernatural force influencing the elements is a powerful one.
And the reports of screams coming from the graves definitely amplify the unsettling atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely.
Then we have the Lorenz Schluchter Memorial Cemetery, also known as Child's Play Cemetery, in Leroy. This one has a truly bizarre and memorable tale associated with parked cars.
The handprints. Yeah. The legend here is quite vivid. The story goes, if you park a clean car within the cemetery for just 5 minutes, you'll hear a loud thud.
A thud.
Yeah. And upon returning to your car, people claim to find a large handprint on the back window, along with several smaller, child-sized handprints all over the vehicle.
No way. That's incredibly creepy. And specific.
It's a very tactile and almost playful, yet, undeniably creepy kind of haunting.
I'd be checking every inch of my car.
Okay.
Alma Cemetery offers more, maybe classic paranormal phenomena, like orbs and mists in photos.
Right. Stuff which is often cited as visual evidence of ghostly presence, but there's also the ominous legend of the devil's chair and a curse.
The Devil's Chair.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of those motifs before.
Yeah, it pops up in various haunted locations, and it often embodies a fear of the transgressive or a place where something evil is believed to reside.
And the curse.
The story of an angry farmer cursing anyone who sits on it after refusing to sell his land for the cemetery adds a personal and, vengeful dimension to the haunting.
Yikes. Okay, our spectral journey continues to Oak Hill Cemetery in Galena, often referred to as Witch's Grave. This location seems to be a magnet for more traditional ghost sightings and sounds.
Yeah, the reports from Oak Hill align with many classic ghost stories, apparitions, disembodied voices, and those eerie, unexplained noises.
And there's something about the time, right?
Right. The specific detail about activity being particularly noticeable around 3:33 a.m. It taps into that well-known witching hour. adding to the spooky lore.
Hmm. Wildmead Cemetery in Nickerson introduces the intriguing concept of a guardian spirit.
Yeah, and this entity is described variously. Sometimes a woman, sometimes a light, or even a demon, depending on who you talk to.
A demon guardian.
Well, that's part of the story. The dual nature of this guardian is what makes it particularly interesting. It's said to protect those who have loved ones buried there, offering a sense of comfort, but can turn hostile towards those who disrespect the grounds or cause trouble.
Okay, so like a supernatural gatekeeper.
Exactly.
El Cado Cemetery in Peru brings us back to more conventional ghostly imagery with reports of a misty white figure drifting among the trees. But there are also some unsettling auditory phenomena.
Yeah, the combination of visual and auditory experiences like disembodied voices, laughter,
Oh, that's unsettling.
and the chilling sound of rattling chains creates a very palpable sense of potential paranormal activity. That unexplained laughter, yeah, that can be deeply unsettling.
Definitely. Now, Elmwood Cemetery in Coffeyville holds a unique and rather infamous history. The Dalton gang is buried there.
That's right, the bank robbers, along with some of the town defenders who fell during their last raid.
Wow. So, given the violent events that unfolded there, it's perhaps not surprising that visitors report feelings of unease.
Exactly. Strange sounds echoing through the grounds, and even the unsettling sensation of being chased by unseen shadows. The intense emotional residue of such a dramatic event could certainly contribute to a feeling of haunting.
Makes sense. Belle Vista Cemetery in El Dorado appears to have a couple of spectral residents in particular. Two moons.
Yeah, an entity known as Two Moons, whose remains were reportedly disturbed during mausoleum construction, and also Clara Wiley, a woman who was murdered back in the early 1900s.
And she affects cameras.
That's the story. Clara Wiley supposedly causing malfunctions in cameras near her grave is a common element in ghost lore, the idea that spirits can interact with electronic devices.
Interesting. And the disturbed remains of two moons, that's another classic trigger for potential paranormal activity, isn't it?
Absolutely. Disturbing graves is often cited as a reason for hauntings.
Okay, rounding out our cemetery exploration, Rochester Cemetery, Topeka, with its urban legend of an albino woman in white.
Floating around at night, especially on Halloween, right? Classic urban legend stuff.
Yep. And then there's the Children's Cemetery in Atchison, where it's believed that dirty cars passing by will mysteriously acquire small handprints.
Another handprint story. These final examples really illustrate the diverse range of cemetery hauntings, from the more traditional ghostly figure to these very specific and unusual phenomena like the phantom handprints.
It really speaks to the power of local storytelling and how these beliefs take shape and endure.
Definitely.
All right, so we've covered quite a few resting places that seem to offer anything but rest. Let's now turn our attention to some specific haunted buildings and other locations scattered across Kansas.
Okay, yeah. This is often where the ghost stories become more detailed and personal, with first-hand accounts of alleged paranormal encounters and specific events tied to the history of these places.
Leading the charge in this category has to be the McIntyre Villa in Atchison. It's often cited as one of the most actively haunted houses in the state. We even have a first-hand account that sounds like a full-blown paranormal party took place there.
Oh, that account. Yeah, it's particularly compelling because it involves multiple witnesses and the use of paranormal investigation equipment.
Right. They reported footsteps on the stairs when no one was there, a door opening on its own.
And the activation of a REM pod, which is a device that emits an electromagnetic field and alarms if disturbed, causing new batteries to die instantly. Those are all classic indicators that paranormal investigators often look for.
And the detail about a recording capturing what seemed to be a tiny flying object resembling a headless torso in the attic.
Yeah, that's the kind of image that sticks in your mind.
For sure. Plus the low growling sound that turned out to be snoring.
Yeah. A moment of unexpected levity in a spooky scenario. It's a good reminder that sometimes ordinary explanations can underlie seemingly extraordinary events.
True, but the mysterious pulling out of the middle cushion on the couch,
Yeah,
that remained unexplained in that account, right?
exactly. Adding another layer to the enigma.
Our exploration of Atchison continues with Molly's Hollow in Jackson Park. This location has a distinctly tragic legend associated with it.
Ah, Molly's Hollow. The story of Molly, who supposedly took her own life there, creates a very palpable sense of sadness and fear that clings to the area.
Even though the specific cause of death has been lost to time.
Right. The reported sightings of her ghostly figure hanging and the sounds of her screams contribute to a very potent and unsettling local legend. People talk about feeling this suffocating sadness there.
Chilling. Okay, moving westward to Lawrence, we have the old Lawrence Community Theater building. Interestingly, this building was originally a church.
And even though it's now home to Vintage Church, it still carries a reputation for being haunted.
What kind of things are reported there?
The reports from this location feeling watched, experiencing poltergeist activity like flickering lights, and encountering unexplained cold spots are often associated with what's called residual haunting.
Residual haunting, like an echo of past events.
Kind of, yeah. The idea that the energy of past events can somehow linger in a place.
In Hanover, the Hollenberg Pony Express station, which dates all the way back to 1857, that's said to be haunted by more than just echoes of history.
Oh, yeah. This strong connection to such a significant period in American history really enriches the ghost stories associated with the station.
So what do people experience?
Tales of hearing the sounds of horses' hooves, seeing apparitions of riders, and even the mischievous ghost of Gerard Hollenberg supposedly hiding items and rearranging things. It creates a very vivid picture.
Mischievous ghost, huh? Okay, the Ellis Railroad Museum in Ellis offers a unique combination of historical artifacts and dolls. A lot of dolls.
Yes, over 1,000 unique dolls, which is, inherently a bit creepy for some people. But the reported paranormal activity seems to be primarily focused in the basement.
And why the basement?
Well, its former use as a jail cell, combined with the tragic legend of a prisoner who drowned during the 1958 flood, provides a compelling backstory for the odd noises, the EVPs.
EVPs, electronic voice phenomena.
Right. Unexplained voices captured on recording devices. And shadowy figures reportedly seen in the windows. And yeah, the dolls upstairs probably don't help the overall vibe.
I imagine not. Even elementary schools aren't immune. Red Rock Elementary School in Ulysses is said to have the apparition of a young girl.
Yeah, wandering near the cafeteria, apparently. The innocence we associate with a school setting makes the idea of a haunting there particularly poignant, doesn't it?
It really does. And bouncing balls, swaying swings.
Unexplained bouncing balls and swaying swings, along with photographic evidence of what are often interpreted as orbs, those round anomalies in photos, it all suggests a lingering childlike presence.
Okay, let's talk about St. Jacob's Well in Clark County, part of Big Basin, right? Legends of it being bottomless and dangerous.
That's the one. The long and storied history of this natural landmark, used by Native American tribes and later by cowboys, provides a rich backdrop for the legend of a cowboy and his horse, who have reportedly been seen near the well since the 1890s.
Wow, since the 1890s. And there's a darker side, too.
Yeah, the local belief that the well contains several unidentified bodies adds a pretty grim element to the haunting.
Definitely grim. Moving on to libraries. Librarians are often keepers of stories, but at the Hutchinson Public Library, it's said that a former head librarian, Ida Day Holzapfel, still makes her presence known.
Yeah, the idea of a former librarian still watching over her beloved books has a certain charming yet still spooky quality to it.
So what happens there? Just a feeling.
Reports of an eerie feeling, yes, but also cold spots, disembodied noises from the basement, and occasional sightings of her glowing form in phantom footsteps.
Phantom footsteps in a library. Classic. Wichita's Bel Air Water Tower has a rather grim urban legend attached to its construction.
Oh, the construction worker story, yeah. The tale of a worker falling to his death during the tower's construction with the grim detail that his body was supposedly left in the concrete pit.
Left in the pit. Seriously.
Well, that's the legend. It creates a strong sense of tragedy and a potential explanation for the reported tapping sounds that some claim to hear at the bottom of the tower at night.
Tapping from inside. Okay, Theodoros Bridge in Valley Center. This one has a couple of different equally tragic versions of a story, right? Both involving a lost child.
Exactly. These varying legends, one about a baby named Theodoros kidnapped during a wagon ambush, another about a woman drowning her illegitimate child. Both result in reports of really unsettling phenomena.
Like what?
The sounds of a baby crying and a woman sobbing, strange and unexplained lights, sudden cold spots, and even cars unexpectedly stalling while crossing the bridge.
Cars stalling. Wow.
And the fact that the bridge has burned down and been rebuilt multiple times also adds to its air of misfortune.
Yeah, that doesn't help its reputation. Even a former grocery store in Towanda, Wilbur's Grocery, is said to have a ghostly history, possibly linked to its past as an orphanage or shelter.
Seems so. The variety of reported phenomena at Wilbur's, the smell of coffee when none is brewing, objects moving on their own, sudden cold spots, and the feeling of being touched by an unseen presence suggests a lingering energy from the building's diverse past.
Feeling touched. Nope. Coffeeville's Brown Mansion, a beautiful 16-room house, is said to be haunted by multiple members of the deceased Brown family. and a servant.
Yeah, the family Donald, Violet, Nancy, WP, and a servant named Charlie. The detailed history of the Brown family and the tragedies within the mansion provide a poignant context for the reports.
What kind of reports?
Smelling pipe smoke when no one's smoking, hearing unexplained crying noises, and even seeing apparitions of various family members and the servant Charlie.
Seen multiple apparitions. That's intense. Interestingly, our sources also point to some locations just across the Kansas state line in Missouri, near KC.
Right, like Belvoir Winery, Research Medical Center, and Southmoreland on the Plaza. It shows these stories aren't really confined by borders.
Belvoir Winery. That was haunted even before it was a winery.
Yeah, when it was just a derelict building, apparently. They even do paid ghost tours now, though one source mentioned a security guard thinking it was maybe hyped up for customers.
Ah, the business of ghosts. And Research Medical Center, that sounds unsettling.
Definitely. Reports of call lights and regular lights turning on and off by themselves, heart monitors going off in empty rooms, even automatic blood pressure cuffs inflating when they're turned off.
Okay, that's properly creepy hospital stuff. And Southmoreland on the Plaza. A haunted hotel suite.
The Russell Stover suite, specifically. There's a story about guests sharing the exact same dream of a woman in Victorian dress walking through the door.
The same dream. Weird. We also hear about the Courthouse Exchange in Independence Square, which offers ghost tours, and the general local belief that many buildings around the square are haunted.
Yeah, it really highlights how certain areas can develop a strong local reputation for being haunted, leading to things like ghost tours tapping into that community fascination.
Our spectral tour also takes us to some college campuses. The Sigma Nu Fraternity House at KU in Lawrence has a dramatic legend involving a former governor and his mistress.
Right, the tragic tale of Lorraine, the governor's mistress, supposedly taking her own life in the house, which is now the fraternity. Reports of her apparition being seen add a layer of somber history.
And Kansas State University in Manhattan isn't left out either. East Stadium and the Purple Mask Theater.
Yep, and a couple of fraternity and sorority houses, too. The stadium story involves a ghostly football player named Nick, killed during a game, supposedly haunting the theater stage and hallways. Known for stomping, apparently.
Stomping, okay. And the Greek houses.
The Pi Kappa Phi fraternity house is linked to a hazing death, a ghost named Duncan. And the Gamma Phi Beta sorority house is supposedly haunted by a former house mother murdered by the cook.
Murdered by the cook. Any specifics?
Disembodied screams reportedly heard when chicken nuggets are cooked.
Chicken nuggets. Okay, that's unique.
Definitely specific.
Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence also has several haunted locations, including the Bell Tower, with a mysterious sealed-off wall in the basement.
Yeah, and an eerie feeling of being watched near it. Given Haskell's complex history, any reported hauntings there carry an additional layer of historical weight and potential interpretation.
Makes sense. Okay, final stops. Achenbach Memorial Hospital in Hartner, and the Old St. Mary Hospital in Manhattan, plus the Blue Light Lady at Fort Hayes.
Right, more hospital hauntings. Achenbach has a men's bathroom that's consistently colder, feelings of being watched, and even reports of bloody footprints in the basement morgue area.
Bloody footprints. On the ceiling, too.
Floors, walls, ceiling, that's the claim. Old St. Mary is believed haunted by a night nurse who died in an elevator shaft and a patient named George who died falling between his bed and the wall.
Wow. And the Blue Light Lady.
A classic Fort Hayes urban legend. A Civil War nurse buried at the bottom of a hill who walks up it at night, appearing as a blue hue, tied to her burial wishes.
It's clear Kansas has a really rich and varied landscape of spooky stories and alleged haunted locations.
It certainly underscores our enduring fascination with the mysteries of the unknown and the powerful way that stories shape our understanding of places and events, doesn't it?
It really does. Well, that wraps up our chilling deep dive into the ghostly tales of Kansas.
Quite a journey through the Sunflower State's supernatural side.
If you like what you were hearing from us, please subscribe. Also, if you would like and share this video, it helps us tremendously and means so much to us. Please also leave a comment. We want to know what you think and value ideas you might have for future podcasts.
Perhaps this deep dive has even inspired you to look into the ghostly tales in your own community. You never know what you might find.
Thanks for tuning in.